Good day, Doctor. We are going to present our mobile application programming project. Our group is made up from 4 people, which is Looi Seng, Asment Tan, Kian, and Chee Yon. Our project is about the trip planner apps. The purpose of this project is to provide users to record the trip information such as schedules, expense, and then this trip information can be shared with friends. The main feature of the project is the CIUD of trips, schedule, and expense. Now we are going to see the app walkthrough section.
And now we begin with our registration. So this apps is log in with the email account, and then when you register, then they will send a verification link to your email, and then after you verify it, then the account is registered successfully, and you can use it to log into the system. So after login into account, and then since this is a new account, then the profile information, everything is empty. So we're going to edit our profile first. And then we also able to upload the profile picture of the user. And then now this is the add friends features. Now we can simply find a friends through email. Since this email is not assisted, so we cannot find any user. Now we're trying another email which is assisted. So if he is assisted, then you can add him as friend, and then you can use it in future. Now we are going to demo about the CIU, the add trip. So now we are filling you need to fill in the information for the trip details. So a trip is added, and then you have to, and then now you can edit the trip. We can add our friend to join this trip, and then also now you can add the schedule for the trips. Okay, so a trip is added, and then you can also view the details. Also, you can edit the trip if there is some errors. And now it's about the expenses. Expenses is also you can add the expenses, and then you can edit it. The expenses after you added, then they will show the total expenses you spend during the trips. You can see that there's a total $43. And then now we delete some trips, some expenses. Now we demo about the edit the expenses. And then after everything is done, you can delete the trips, and everything is over. Now we demo the delete friend process. That's all for our apps walkthrough.
And now we are going to explain about the architecture we use in this project. The architecture, there is front-end architecture and back-end architecture. For the front end, bulk of the workload is handled by the client-side application. There are two types of client architecture, which is stick and team. And then we choose stick client for this project. The main characteristic of stick client is that the client will perform most of the processing in the application. So there is no need for continuous server communication. In our project, user only retrieve all the data when they log in into the system. Most of the operation is running on the client side. When user is logged in, the client side will retrieve all the data related with the user from the database. In the main page, the future builder class will call the method in data service class so to retrieve the data. And then the data call is in the JSON type, and then it will convert into the strongly typed data structure such as objects. Because that's all for the front-end architecture, and now we proceed to the back-end architecture.
Greeting, doctor. My name is Asment Tan, and I will continue for the backend architecture. In this project, our backend architecture is using the MVC, which is Model View Controller. Which means in this project, the model part, in the model parts we have 4, which is user model, expand model, trip models, and also the schedule models. And for the model is used to return the object to the front end, and for the controller is used for the data processing, which like the CRUD, post, put, or patch, or gets. In the controller, for example, in the trips, the data get the user ID is string, but when we trip to the model, it must be converted to the object, which is user object. So this conversion will be done in the controller, and then will return to the model, and the model will return it to the front end. So this is for the backend architecture for this project.
Step management in login page will be the password. When the user click on this button, the action will change the state of the password and make it visible or invisible. For the registration page, is same as the login. So the step management here will be the password, and when the user click on this button, you will make the action will make the password to visible or invisible, and this is implemented by the step management. In friend list, when the user add the friend by email, you will click on this button. After it returns, the step will be changed based on the user action. So if the user is already added, so we can click more, we can click again, and this will use the step management. In my profile, the step management will be the edit icon. When the user click on this, the step will be changed, like the username, the first name, the last name will be editable, and you have a save button here. For reset password or update password is set as the login page, which with all the password will be invisible. So when the user click on the button, it will set state, and the password will be visible. And the step for the create new thread is the validation test. When the user saves the thread information with NDField, this action will change the state of the validation test. So we will use the set state to reflect the state change in the UI. As we can see that it displays the error because it is the empty field, and in the edit thread info information screen, the step for this screen is the input field. When the user click on the pencil icon, it changes the state of the input field to make it editable. If we does not change the state, we can edit the thread information. In the add member screen, the step for this screen is the save and cancel button. When the user take the member, you can change the state of the save cancel button and make it visible to the user for further action. In the remove member screen, the state for this screen is the delete button. Initially, it is disabled. When the user take on the member, it will be visible. It will be enabled for further action like delete. So all of the screen that I mentioned just now, you will use the set state to reflect the state change to the UI, and all of the stateful images will be called by the will be notified by the set state.
In this schedule screen, there's not much state here, as this button is using navigator to navigate to schedule form. The state is here the list builder. When the user long press to delete the schedule, then the list of schedule will be re-rendered to show the latest schedule list. And this schedule detail has no state here as all. They are only displaying the information. And the schedule form has several steps like start date, start time, and date and time, activity description as they are input. So manage them instead. Try to long press and delete the schedule, and the schedule list will be rendered to display the latest schedule.
So for the state management of the trip Asment, we are using the stateful widget. For the state management on the delete function, which is on long press of the Asment. So when the delete, I also want to delete yes, then the system will call out the set state function, and the framework of the application will be reviewed. And other than that, for the add Asment, then the system will navigate to the add Asment screen. And when we add the Asment, create, so they will pop up after successful create. It will pop up to the previous screen, and it will, when there is a data return, it will call out the set state function and review the framework again. Also, same like the navigate Asment detail, it will navigate to the Asment detail screen, and this screen is for the edit function. For example, like the donor change to D and save. And
we going back to the screen, to the previous screen, it will also tell the application to set state and review the framework again. So this mechanism already changed to MACD. So that's all for the state management of this particular project.
For the authentication part, we have login and sign up function for the user. The authentication will use the file-based authentication function. As mentioned by just now, we will use the architecture and the architecture. So the authentication will implement in the client side. In this application, we have three methods to sign up and sign in, which are the email and password, Facebook, Google. So for the login part, we can see that we have the login form, email and password. If the user want to log in by using the Facebook and Google, they can only click on the button, and we will show, for the Google, we will show the Google account for the user to sign in. And for the Facebook, it will redirect to the homepage without any choosing account, because it linked to the mobile phone Facebook account if the user has used the Facebook. And if the user forgot the password, they can click on the forgot password, and they can enter their password, and the Firebase will send an email to their email to reset their password. And for the registration, they will have email and password, and Google and Facebook. Also, same method, they can use this three method to sign up their account. And after they sign up, the Firebase authentication will stop the UID into the Firebase database, which we have a correction with a correction user in the database. So the UID is for us, for the app to show the profile in the homepage, and for the application to store the profile information in order to perform any function in the application, inside the application, as you can see that from the web browser now. And that's all for the authentication. Lastly, for the registration, if the user register and email will send to them, and they need to verify their email as well to process the registration. That's all. Thank you.
All right, for the back end of this application, so we implement REST with Firebase. So firstly, the database of the application is consisting of 4 collections: expenses, schedules, trips, and users. So when the user registered, then the information of the user will be stored in the user collection. So this is the user that I created just now during the demo. Alright, then we link the user. The user will have friends, right? The friends is linked using the ID of the document, okay, which is also the ID of the user. And for the trips, we link to the expenses and also schedules. Expenses and schedules using the ID, and the members owner are linked to the users using ID as well. So that's all for the database. And besides using the cloud Firestore, we also use the file-based storage to store the image. If you notice that we update the profile image just now, and we utilize the storage of the Firebase to store the image of the user. And our backend, at the backend side, as mentioned, we implement model and controller in our backend side. As mentioned just now, our backend coding, backend architecture is using model and controller architecture. So these are our model, same as the database. We have expenses, schedule, trips, and models, and the controller will control the row of the expenses, schedule, trips, and users. And index is a main file for all the routes. And for the user registration, we use the function of the Firebase function.auth. Then have new user register, then this function will be called automatically. So that's all for the backend of this application.
Okay, that's all for our presentation for this budget goal. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.